Hello, and once again I've got another model made by KZ, and actually one more model is waiting in my review queue, and I can say that KZ is on the killing spree. They are creating better and better designs, and both in terms of exterior and in terms of sound. And today we will speak about their actually new flagship. It's model AS16. As you can easily guess by knowing KZ logic, it's model with 8 balanced armatures per each side. And actually their previous attempt to create a multi-balanced armature flagship BA10 was, let's say, average, because it was sounding like typical dynamic driver. But I'm not sure what happened. Maybe they hired some new sound engineer, but their recent releases, both under CCA and their own KZ brand, are becoming better and better. ZSN Pro is nice, ZS10 Pro, actually it will be next KZ review, is also pretty good, and AS16 is also really decent model. Kind of spoiler, actually CCA also released 16 driver model, actually 8 driver model. Let's use common naming, because usually we name number of drivers per each earpiece. So CCA also released 8 driver model, but kind of spoiler, AS16 is tuned in a different way. It's a different sonic representation, so if you heard C16 from CCA, it's a different model. Price is about $130. I will put links in the description. You can get it from AliExpress, you can get them from Amazon, you can get them from Lean Soul Shop, so there are different options, and probably there could be some discounts in the future, but anyway, as usual for KZ, pretty good price-quality ratio. And now let's have a closer look. For the flagship model, they've decided to make a slight step from their typical matchbox style box, and they've made this book-like box made of black cardboard. And luckily this time they've made it smaller, because BA10 in the big box looks a bit ridiculous. As you can see, nice metal plate, pretty stylish looking. Earphones themselves, warranty card and manual, actually 3 pair of tips is in stock. It's traditional KZ set of tips, and also familiar cable. So if someone who is familiar with KZ watching my reviews, just please tell them that for flagship models they definitely need to develop some other cable, and also put a bit more tips, because for $50 it's still okay, but for $120 you need to put more. Anyway, maybe it's not a big issue, but definitely better cable and more tips will be a great plus. In terms of design, it's also a good step forward for the KZ. Actually not exactly this model, but few recent models that they've released. They developed some technology that allows them to make metal face plates, and this one looks really stylish. It's some aluminum zinc alloy, and I really like this pattern, I really like the overall design. Inner part is made of resin, and it's already familiar for those who've seen some recent models by KZ or CCA. It has nice, pretty ergonomic shape, so it fitting nice into the ears. It has a nicely extended spout. Actually, spout is made of metal, and also they made a really stylish grill inside for protection. It has normal lip. Finally, I really like that they did it, and it's holding tips really nicely, and thanks to this spout they're providing a bit above average sound isolation, so no big issues. Case is semi-transparent, so you can partially see what is inside. So here is connector, Here is a PCB with crossover, and you can see some drivers. This big one is probably for the low frequencies, and some smaller for the mids, and here is a drivers for the treble. So here are used 4 drivers for the upper frequencies, 2 for mids and 2 for lows. And also you can see this big white plastic part inside. It's a special chamber with tubes that separate signal from different drivers. So there are 3 different sonic tubes providing separate transmission of different frequencies. So as you can see, actually KZ became company that making pretty mature designs in terms of acoustics, in terms of schematics, and I think we are not far from the moment where they will release something even more expensive, that some limited editions or something like that. Some maybe we will even see some top of the line models with prices about $1,000. I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that even for the $1,000 model they will use the same cable, because they probably love this cable. Also, as a plus, I need to admit that they started using this one type of connectors. It's not the best, I think, but still they're using similar connectors. This one with recessed pins and with extended socket. But anyway, it does a job pretty nicely. Actually, is it? This one is for right piece, so it does a job nicely. It holds pretty well. Here it is, and actually it's stock KZ cable. We've seen it many times before, that brown thin. It's pretty soft, it has a bit of microphonic, but thanks to these ear hooks it won't be an issue. It's almost not getting hard when it's cold, it's a bit tangling, but anyway, it's the familiar cable that we've seen many times before. So in terms of design and build quality, it's really good model, but cable could be better, but who cares actually, because earphones themselves are built really nicely. And of course about the sound, you know, some time ago, about a year ago or so, when I was doing some KZ reviews, I often used some high-end gear as a joke, but that times are gone, and actually now we can definitely use some good sources with KZ in-ear monitors. Of course, not Lotu Puff Gold, they won't disclose it potential fully, but anyway, you know, now it's not a joke, it's, well, pretty normal pairing. Well, not the best, of course, but anyway. So for the AS16 tuning, the KZ decided to use natural representation without noticeable accents. Also, time when KZ loved V-shaped tuning, maybe not gone, but at least they tamed that love, and now they not using so aggressively V-shaped signature. So this model has, you know, a bit similar signature with C16 CCA, but there are differences. I will speak about comparisons later. So bass is almost linear without noticeable accents, but at the same time, you know, they put 2 pretty good balanced armatures that provide normal weight and pretty good amount of low frequencies, nice texturing, decent resolution. At least for this price, of course, and pretty good depth. So they managed to create a pretty balanced signature with bass that go deep and build solid foundation. Actually, it's not a model for those who like accented low frequencies. For more weighty lows, they've got some hybrid models, actually, that I reviewed in the past, and ZS10 Pro that I will review in some next reviews. So this one model is pretty natural, and actually I think that it's tailored more for those who prefer listening to some acoustic instruments, some forte piano, some acoustic bass and instruments like that. As an example, here it is. I used this track before. It's Dire Straits, Private Investigations. I think you've heard it before, and actually, of course, I took this track because of that part in the middle. When first part is over, it's just single note played on the bass guitar and guitar improvisations. It's really effective. You know, when I heard this track for the first time, I was stunned. And actually, it also has some deep drum kicks, and this in-ear monitors represent it really nicely. I don't like more accented models with this track because drums start sounding unnatural, and actually it's one of my small tests for the bass response. Mids are linear, they have a pretty good balance of resolution and weight. Of course, don't expect some performance of top-of-the-line models, but still really natural and really detailed model in this price range, one of the most detailed, I probably say. And at the same time, they have slight accent on the micro detalization, but not too big, because they have a normal weight put into every single note and to all instruments. So in this term, they have normal balance of weight and resolution. So they don't require they're not too picky for the source. They play not well recorded tracks normally, but at the same time you will hear the issues. But anyway, they won't accent them. Normal resolution, good emotion representation, so model for those who prefer natural and not colored signature, without big accents and without some attempts to change something using some peaks or some drops in the frequency response. Of course, places where drivers overlap are noticeable, but I think it's something that you can expect for this price. Imaginary stage is above average in width and in depth, and it's a really good result for this price range. Of course, I need to name some example for the mid frequencies, and actually, you know, usually I use this track for more expensive models. It's John Coltrane's Locomotion. I think you can easily guess why this track is a great example of mid frequencies and why it requires stellar technical performance for earphones, especially on the mids. And actually AS16 maybe not plays this track not at 100% of its potential, but you know, it's still, anyway, it's a pretty acceptable level of representation, and it's one of the most affordable models that plays this track without any noticeable issues. And as for treble, they have a slight treble accent, but it's not big, and definitely it's not even close to the splashy treble that some models by KZ has in the past. It's just a bit accented treble, just to add a bit of clarity to the sound, and actually it has normal extension but not superb. Actually probably the biggest not issue, maybe it's more a feature of this earphones, is that they have a noticeable treble roll-off after 10 kHz, because KZ not risky enough to make earphones with extended treble, and I think it's pretty logical, because you know, they creating models for the mass market mainly, and usually vast majority of tracks and records don't have important information in the above 10 kHz area. Usually it's more audiophilic recordings that have something in this area, and many pop records, electronic music, metal records have compression artifacts in the upper 10 kHz area, or at least they are poorly recorded there. So it's better to make some roll-off, but in this case users of the earphones won't notice that problems in the track, and I think it's normal trade-off. Anyway, treble attacks and decays are a bit faster than they should be. Layering is almost absent, but it's also logical for this price range. And at the same time, treble has normal resolution and pretty good balance of quantity that is satisfying, at least to my ears. They have pretty crisp representation that I really like. And as an example for the treble, I've got, where is it? One of my most favorite jazz albums, As Falls Wichita, So Falls Wichita Falls. I really like such unusual and experimental jazz, and a track named Ozark. It's pretty lightweight track with a lot of percussion and a lot of really high-pitched instruments, and actually this earphones play this track not perfectly once again, but really good for its price, you know. To play Coltrane or Wichita Falls, you will, at full potential, you will need some model priced from $500 or more. But for $120 you can get pretty acceptable option at least. Speaking about pairings, if I remember right, technical specification sensitivity is 105 decibels per milliwatt and impedance is 15 ohms, so they don't require a lot of driving power, and at the same time they're not picking too much background noise, but of course they can benefit from some mid-range dub or entry level, so with dub with good resolution they require at least. You can use them with your smartphone, but I'm not sure if it will be a good pairing. And of course, few words about comparisons, and probably the most interesting one and most necessary is AS16. So, as I've said at the beginning of this review, they are actually pretty similar, same size, same shape, a bit different color, and also this one has plastic tip, so no metal spouts, but besides that I think they share really similar design, both external and internal, and the general representation is pretty close. They both are on the natural side of things, but there are a bit of different accents, so I think it's some crossover tuning or some minor tunings via filters, I'm not sure. Maybe some drivers are different, so it's just my guess, but difference isn't big, but it's noticeable. So AS16 has a bit more weight on low frequencies, but not by a huge margin. And also CCA has a bit more accented treble, they are a bit sharper. So, you know, this gives a bit different representation, so those are a bit more closer to neutrality, while those are a bit closer to natural monitoring. Actually, those are closer to natural sound, and those are closer to uncolored natural monitoring representation, so a bit sharper in the general representation. But you know, I can't say that this one is definitely better, because it's more a matter of taste and a matter of how much? $25. Also, I can't say just pay $25 more, you will have better sound. This one sounds more organic and a bit more natural to me, but I'm not sure that I can say just go and grab this one. There are a lot of other models in this price range, but you know, they are usually more different in terms of tuning. If you are interested in some particular comparison, just feel free to ask in the comments. I will try to do a short comparison, because as usual I can't recall all models that I can name. There are really a lot of them. But actually AS16 as well as AS16 bit stands out. So natural and resolving representation is what makes them pretty different. So probably that's what I wanted to say. And you know, I really like KZ development recently. They're creating pretty interesting models, and actually the biggest problem for them probably is that their entry-level models are becoming really good. For example, ZS10 Pro is really nice, and it's more pop tuning, so more V-shaped with more low frequencies because dynamic driver used here. So just a bit of spoiler of next review. And of course, this model is better in terms of technical capabilities, so it's more resolving, more bit faster and so on. But ZS10 Pro is also pretty enjoyable, and it costs actually more than 2 times less, and so actually KZ is cannibalizing their own lineup from the entry-level models. But I think that consumers will definitely benefit from that, because we need more affordable models. Anyway, let's go back to AS16. Pretty good model, offering really good value for those who like natural and uncolored representation, for those who like multi-balanced armature model but without huge price. Of course, more expensive models will give you more, but this one also has a good price-quality ratio. Thank you for attention.